Welcome back to another episode of Boom or Bust, your home for NFL Draft Talk. I'm your host, Terry, and the draft is over. Doing a recap for the AFC South side. So just a reminder, going to go through the drafts, not giving any grades. I don't like to grade people before they play. Also, I don't know the team's situation intimately. I don't follow your rosters, so please don't hold that against me. I want to stick more about the prospects. Because again, I don't know every situation going on with your team. So I want to talk more about the prospects. So let's just kick it off with the Colts. And this is one of the reasons I don't give grades, because it turns into me talking about how many players you pick that I like. And I'm trying to be unbiased because Colts draft, oh my God, it is, even with the unbiased opinion, even with the understanding of, people have different flavors and value different things, it would be hard pressed to find a way to convince me that these picks are good. I mean, Quentin Nelson up top, I said before, I'm not a huge fan of that position in the top 10. I just think, value wise, it's not something I would do. But the players, 5-star prospect, no issues with him. I will say he's a run blocker. I hear on the radio and ESPN everywhere about how much he's going to protect Luck. He'll help in the protection, but make no mistake, he's not some dancing bear pass protector. He is a run blocker first and foremost, and that's the number one thing he's going to bring. So let's just say that. Now let's talk about these second round picks. Colts found themselves in a situation with a lot of trades where they ended up with a whole bunch of picks. And it's so hard for me to look at these second round picks and say it's okay. I mean, you get Darius Leonard, who what he is a chase linebacker with limited athleticism, not some sky high potential, but a lot of technique that needs to be refined and things of that nature. And so second round wasn't even in the discussion. What are you talking about? My evaluation or the evaluations from other people. It's tough to see, not even second round, but 36, which is darn near first round pick. It's really tough to see. Now they need weapons on defense and all that. They're trying to build a roster that's kind of, really at the bottom stages, but Darius Leonard, especially over some of the backs linebackers you passed up, that's a tough sell. Then you get Braden Smith out of the group in the second round. He's the one I believe in the most, but again, really high, pick 37. And you had Will Hernandez there that you could have attacked and try to go up and get him. Because if you got Quentin Nelson in the top 10 and you spent the high second round pick on another guard, why not use your capital to get the second best rated guard, and you would have number 1 and 2? Or even James Daniels, the center who can play both. Or, things that just, it is weird because Braden Smith is a run blocker. And as much as I said Nelson is a run blocker, he can pass pro, but Braden's not great at pass pro. So yes, you get some tough, hard nosedness, but second round for a guy that's more one dimensional, that's a questionable move. Then Kamiko Torreya, I had people, they said he was going to be undrafted or 7th round when the draft started, when the season started in January. And so I think the Senior Bowl helped him. The Combine definitely helped him. And the lack of pass rushers in this draft helped him. But you're talking about a round where you had Harold Landry and Lorenzo Carter on the board, and you go Kamiko Torreya. And so again, you could have went and attacked the Harold Landry, who is probably arguably the second best pass rusher after Bradley Chubb. But you go Kamiko, a guy that needs some work and has limitations. And I get it. He has the frame and everything, but he just doesn't have the complete skill set. And then Tyquan Lewis. Oh, Lord Jesus. Both of the guys at Ohio State, I've said, I feel like they can't play on the end. They don't have the bend. They don't have the speed. I think Tyquan has a much better first step than Jalen Holmes, but I think they're both 3 techniques. And Colts are moving to a more even front, and so they might do that, but they turned in the card as a DN. I don't think he gives you anything on the edge, and not even that in the second round for a guy that I thought was easily 5th, 6th round. It's some head scratchers. I mean, yes, you have some surprises, but that's a whole bunch of rounds for not even one, but like 3 of these players. So real tough for the Colts, in my opinion. Nyheim Hines, I think, is a decent third down pickup. Deion Kane was probably your best value for the type of ceiling he has versus where you got him. Needs a lot of refinement, but an uber athlete. So pick up hopefully a future weapon for Andrew Luck. But yeah, overall, it's a real tough draft for me. Now moving on to the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had a pretty decent draft. You get Taven Bryan, who has a lot of interesting tools. He's not J.J. Watt. Let's throw that away. That's the dumbest thing I heard. He's not J.J. Watt at all. But he's got interesting tools. The drawback with Taven is that his maturity isn't what people might like, and he's not raw to the game like he just started, but he hasn't been playing as long as other prospects. So tremendous ceiling, just a whole bunch of work to work on as he gets there. The good thing is you get to the Jaguars that's got an emerging defense, and I think they have the leaders on that D-line end on that defense that are going to demand him to grow up and be better than he is if he's going to play. And so you got a lot of edge guys doing their thing. I think getting a true disruptive 3-tech with Taven Bryan is going to really take the notch up if they can get him right. DJ Chark, you on the road to rebuilding the receiving core. I think D.D. Westbrook is going to play a hand in the future going forward, which is nice for a lower round pick. And I think Chark adds to that speed. Marquise Lee can continue to do what he does in the slot, especially if you got Chark, a guy that can threaten the deep zone. Now, his tape isn't on there, or his tape isn't the player that you see in the numbers in the scouting combine. So you got to look at the Senior Bowl, you got to look at the measurables and really project what he's going to be. Second round's not bad. I think that's a perfect value for him. And so I think they're on the road to kind of giving Bortles some more weapons. Ronnie Harrison, I thought he was a first round safety all day. Getting him, I think, is a nice pickup in the third. I don't think necessarily they needed it, but I think Ronnie is going to help add to a young secondary sooner rather than later. And then I'll point out Leon Jacobs in the 7th round because he's a physical freak. And I think guys with twitched up athletic ability, you going to the right place in Jacksonville where it's like the combine all-stars on that defense. So it'll be interesting to see if they give him a package role. You do got Dante Fowler already, so I think Jacobs might make a living on special teams, but it could eventually be something pretty good. Then we go to the Houston Texans, who did not pick into the 3rd round, but let me tell you, they had one heck of a draft once they started picking. And I didn't expect the Texans to do that. But anyway, you get Justin Reed in the 3rd round. Again, another first to second round safety I thought fell. Justin Reed's one of the smartest football players in this draft. He absolutely understands defense. He absolutely understands schemes, coverages, and I think he immediately brings a great attitude to the locker or to the defensive back room. Now, if he gets a chance to start, I think he's a guy that can give you coverage in the back end. He can give you some man-to-man coverage out of the slot. I think he'll make plays on the ball, and he's not a horrible. I'm sorry, he's a above average run defender. So I don't think he's going to kill you there. But I think a free safety that the Texans haven't had in a while to his level, and so hopefully he gets in there early. Martinez Rankin, five position player. Some believe played left tackle. Drafted him as a center. I think he's going to be an excellent guard. I think he is possibly going to be a really good center as well. And I still think he could play right tackle. I think his balance, his footwork is really smooth. I like his technique. And so him coming in is pretty interesting. I'm not sure if Nick Martin is still there. I thought that was kind of their center, but I think Martinez either way gives you position flexibility. And I don't think it's going to be a rough transition for him at all going inside. Jordan Atkins in the third. I think he went higher than people expected, but I expected him and Ian Thomas to make a bigger leap than some people expected as really big receiving targets. A lot of work to do in the blocking game, but as far as just the day one guy that can be a safety valve, I think he helps out, and he really adds another dimension and target for Watson. Speaking of a target for Watson, you got Kiki Kuti, Texas Tech, the burner. He didn't run like you saw on tape. You expected low 4.3s. He didn't run that way, but you still expect him to have that speed. Now, you got Fuller, who's a burner. You got Kuti, and then you also got Braxton Miller, who has a lot of speed. Hasn't played a lot, but has a lot of speed. So it's clear they want to get vertical. Will Watson take the next step next year? I don't know. I'm not going to talk too much about Watson. I don't want to get trashed. But it's a lot of vertical speed there is all I'll say. And so that should open up a lot of lanes, especially if you dedicate more coverage to Hopkins. Duke Ejiofor, I don't know where he fits in this defense. He's 275, like Bradley Chubb, but he's not built like Bradley Chubb. And he has super long arms, but I just don't think that he's built for the outside. He doesn't have that type of quick twitch or that type of bend around the edge. Excellent hands, level 5 hand technique, great hand play, but doesn't have that bend. And so they drafted him and wrote down the card DN. So if you're talking about putting him on the interior, because you got Clowney, you got Merciless, so more than likely he won't be there. So you're talking about putting him on the interior. I don't know. I honestly don't. I think you could get away in some movement with blitzes and stunts, but as a straight up holding his own in the run, I don't see that. So it's an interesting pick. Like the kid, I just don't know how he fits here. Then lastly, we got the Tennessee Titans. A lot of movement. So they went up to get Rashaan Evans, and linebacker is a position a lot of people felt the Titans were going to need. Not only with Williamson leaving, but they really want a tone setter from a leadership standpoint. I thought, the Titans defense were a lot more stout and hard-nosed than I expected them to be. So I don't know that it's like they've been missing a linebacker for years and years, but it is nice to get Rashaan Evans. I don't know if he's the alpha that Roquan Smith is or that Tremaine Evans can be, but I think he's extremely instinctive in coverage. He's not a downhill thumper as much as Bama backers usually are, but he can chase the ball and give you something in coverage as well for all 3 downs. So real excited to see exactly what they're going to do with him. And I do think he can give you some good blitzing options as well. Then you get Harold Landry. This got to be the big coup for the Titans. I mean, you look, they got 4 picks, and 2 of them are in the first 2 rounds. So you got to think this is just worth it when you get one of the top, because most people have Rashaan Evans or Harold Landry ending up to the Titans in one way or the other. And again, media is all media, but still it made sense as a fit. And so for them to get both of them, it's got to be huge for them. So they definitely they were definitely aggressive and went for the guys they wanted and felt like, okay, they can take less picks this year to get the guys that they really want. And so Harold Landry, I think day one challenges for a spot on the edge, if not just a 3rd round specialist, which is cool because I think he's got to refine his pass rush moves, and that'd be a good place where he doesn't have pressure. But Rashaan definitely steps in as one of the media starters. Dane Cruikshank, I can't pronounce that name, out of 5th round, was a very interesting height, weight, speed, safety who made some plays. And so he's a guy that was kind of a late buzz towards the week of the draft, but ended up going in the 5th round. I think he's going to be a special teams ace, but I do think he has the makeup to potentially become a good safety. And then lastly, you get Luke Falk, the quarterback. A lot of people high on Luke Falk. A lot of people thought he'd be a Patriot. Mariota, definitely the guy, but we all know that protecting him and keeping him healthy is an issue. So Luke Falk's an interesting pick. Very different from Mariota. Different type of offensive skill, to be honest with you. But getting a pocket passer that can be accurate behind that really stout line, I think was a good move. So that's my thoughts on the AFC South Side. Go to the comment section. Let me know what you think about your team's draft. What players you're excited about. Thumbs up, subscribe. Share this around to get the convo started. And thank you for listening.